So I have already put on my Beautymoon white eye primer and I've gone straight in to the Where the Man Goes palette by Made by Mitchell, and the shade I went into was Swimming Trunks. Now I've used that as the base tone. I wasn't sure on how the consistency and the pigment would come out, but it is a nice pigment and it is a nice consistency. Very powdery, very soft, but not too powdery. There wasn't much fallout at all. The shade was very buildable, and I think that's what I really enjoyed about this palette, is the ease of the building of the colours. You can make them as deep or as bright as you want. They're very smooth and very blendable. So as you can also see, I have now swapped into the Mini Mitchell palette volume 1, and I went for shade Halfway. I was using this shade to go around the outer of my eye, just over my crease and along my lash line, to give some shape that I was going to build up and blend out, which you're seeing me do now. So while I faff with that, and you can watch me faff with that, I was just going to talk about the palettes I've been using. So that volume 1 by Made by Mitchell and Where the Man Goes palette, I have really enjoyed. I like the colour range. I like that there are some shifty tones that in certain lights really dazzle. Well, you'll see as I do the look. The pink really comes up well. I do dip into the Shorty. I think it's Shorty. Little, it's like a pink. It's a nice pink, but it's not a bright pink. It's a matte pink. I'll dip into that in a minute, which you'll see. To start building up the colours, and then I go into a brighter Wapink, which it's called. And I enjoyed all the colours and all the sparkles and all the shine. I did find that all the shimmers were a very neutral shimmer. They're not like wow in your face shimmers. They're nice, they give a bit of glam, but they're subtle. When I want more of a pow factor, I tend to go for my magical makeup shimmers, which they are wow pow in your face shimmers and glitters. And then I use Beautymoon a lot, Give Me Glow, Gourmet Girl. I've got a whole list. I'll link some in the description below. I might do a whole shimmer section, but for now we're just doing a Made by Mitchell look. And I do dip into some ANA Cosmetics pigments, which I'll talk about shortly as I start to use them. But they are my go-to for anything that, when I want a bit more pow, no matter whether it's a more of a bolder matte colour or more of a sparkle, more of a shimmer, I always go to them because they work with everything on top of everything so well, and I love them dearly. So yeah, I've now gone into that matte pinky colour, the Sharty, I don't know how you pronounce it. But and that's just giving me a little bit more shape to my eye. And I'm just blending, I'm just playing. To be honest, these palettes were just so easy to use. They blended, they built up easy. They just looked seamless, and it was so easy and fun to play with. I think I just enjoyed the fact I didn't really know what look I was going for, and it didn't matter because the more I played with them, the more I could bend it and change it and build on it, and it just made it a really fun look to do. I wore this to a party, so it was quite nice. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm just going to keep on faffing and talking because I don't do anything major for a few more minutes. So yeah, I've enjoyed these. They've been good. But all in all, I've just been sorting out a lot of makeup. I did some prom looks for a couple of people. So I've sort of enjoyed dabbling. I think it's very easy to get used to your face, and it's always good to mix up and do some other people's makeups because it does challenge you to use your tools and your knowledge on someone else's face shape and skin tones and textures. And I think I was quite impressed that I was able to do an eye look that I love on someone with very different set eyes, different shaped eyes, and it still came out well because I used the sort of tools I use for me. So I go above the crease line, and I went more into her eyebrow area than I would me because I don't desperately need to. I have a lot of space. But it's nice to be able to do that and know that what I'm saying to you guys is, you know, go above your crease so you can see it even if your eyes are open. It does work on on all eyes. It's nice to know that. I mean, to have proof and share it. Anyway, I'm now waffling. So I'm about to go into that brighter pink, and it's a WAP pink, so it has a little bit of a shimmer to it. Now this I built up gradually. As you will see, it starts off very subtle and I build on it. Which is a really useful thing when you're using some bright fun colours. It's great to be able to very lightly start and build on it. You can blend it out nicely and you can go bolder with it, and you've got the confidence that you can build it rather than having to go straight in full pow. Oh no, I put it in the wrong place. I could very comfortably move this about and get it bolder as I needed it. This is something I love. I love palettes that I can recommend to people who aren't used to doing a lot of crazy stuff with their eyes, things that will build your confidence but be colourful, that you can play with as a starter, and then build your confidence with these palettes. And you can start off very simply doing minimal stuff but still have fun colours, and then build up to these crazy looks because they're just so versatile and so easy to use. So I am really enjoying these palettes. I know I've already said that, but I just think for people who want some fun and something they can build with, and something that maybe they're not confident but they can grab at and play with, I think these are a good set of palettes. And they do a lot of sales, which I've been majorly impressed with. But I mean, I could say the same for VE Cosmetics and Beautymoon. They're a great price point. They've got great colours. They're really blendable. And I do find that their shimmers and their duochromes are a lot more pigmented and have a lot more wow factor than I'm finding with the Made by Mitchell. But, you know, baby steps. Baby steps. So I am about to pick up the Gel Glaze Creamy Eyeshadow in Peachy Keen by Made by Mitchell. I really like this, but I didn't get the payoff I was expecting. The gel was a lot more of a subtle, almost like a highlight. Like it'd be great along your brow bone, great in your inner eye, but it didn't quite give me the glow I wanted for this look. I needed something bolder because of the colours I'd already used. If I was doing a really natural look with some really calm tones, this would have really popped. But in the look I was doing, it just didn't quite have the kick I was looking for. But it applied really easily. It was really smooth. It's a lovely texture and has a lovely shine. It just wasn't the right one for this look, which is why I think I went into the Where the Man Goes palette to select On the Beach, which is a very similar shade to the Peachy Keen. It's got the pink sparkles, it's got the gold set, and that did really help bring out some of the colours. But again, I did end up going to my A&A pigments because they just have a bit more of a power to them. A bit more of a stronger pigment, and they were just bold enough that they just gave this look, that extra oomph that I needed. So I've continued to just tinker and build on those shades to make sure I'm getting what I want out of them, and to be honest, the building was really helping, and you can see the difference as I'm building on it, the boldness that's starting to stand out. Now I am in a very short while going to pick up a Beautymoon liquid shadow. It's a multi-chrome. I've just had it in my hand and I've dropped it. It was shade 27 and it's like a iridescent bluey, pinky, purpley shade, but it's still bold because it's got the blue undertones, but as the light hits it, it's quite a magical tone and I really enjoy it. So you will see me start to play with this liner very shortly. It's great as an eyeshadow. I have used it as an eyeshadow, but I constantly use it as an eyeliner. I find it just gives me a little bit of oomph and a little bit of fun. I tend to use, obviously, a liner brush, but I've got a Beautymoon one that I use quite a lot. And if that's dirty and I need to clean it, I use a Beauty Bay one. That's, oh God, I got that set recently. It's like a midnight set. I'll have to tag it in the below description. Sorry, you can hear me. I'm sitting in my chair in the office doing the recording and I keep moving. So you keep hearing my chair creak and groan. But yeah, I mean, it's hard doing this because I'm trying to do it in time with the video and talk to you all, tell you what I'm doing, tell you the products, I'm not missing things out. And then I've got like gaps where I'm blending and stuff, and I've sort of got a bit of ahead of myself, and I told you about the eyeliner before I used it, and yeah, but it's hard to do it timed. So I have quite a large amount of time now to waffle on about other things because I am doing my liner, which always takes me forever because I like to get it not too thick. I like to do it so it's neat, so it shows. Finding that balance is very hard. I remember being 14 and literally covering my eyes in like a charcoal gel liner and sort of intending to do a flick, and then it just turns into a very thick line of black all around my eye. So it's taken me a long time to get past that point and be more precise. But yeah, so this is just a bit of a waffle video with a look I did that I enjoyed, talking about some new products. Like, I hadn't tried the Made by Mitchell shadows at all. The only thing I had tried before this video was the blush, and I was getting a bronzer tone, and I'm really enjoying using that. I'm enjoying using that a hell of a lot. I am using their blushes on and off because I got some fun colours. Beautymoon have some liquid blushes, which I think I've got in Taffy. I think it's a Taffy. And that shade, I'm finding I'm grabbing for that a lot more than my Made by Mitchell, because my Made by Mitchell ones are a little bit brighter and they sort of go with different looks. So it really depends on the mood I'm in. But with the looks I usually do, the Taffy by Beautymoon, I use that a hell of a lot because it's a deeper tone. It is a reddy pigment tone, but it has that brownie colour in it. So it's bold that it stands out, but it's subtle, so you can do a lot with your eye makeup and it doesn't clash. Whereas my Made by Mitchell, I've got some really colourful, fun pinks that are bright and things like that. And they just wouldn't go with certain looks that I do. So it's, you know, this is something we should probably talk about in a different video, what blushes go with what looks. But to be honest, sometimes I just think you just got to go with what you fancy. And with blusher, I find it quite easy because you can build on it. So if you do want to wear a certain blusher and your eyes are really bold and you don't want to have bold cheeks, you just do it a little bit more subtle. It is a bit of an art getting used to the liquid blushes. I've never gone for liquid blusher. I've always gone for powders. But the more I wear makeup, the more I've used it, the more I've noticed that actually quite often the powders just, yeah, they blend out nice, but the staying power isn't there. Whereas I find there's a hell of a lot more staying power and consistency with the liquid ones. And also a lot more fun. Like, people are starting to do it sort of closer to their under eyes and sort of change the shape of their face with them and sort of brighten their eyes with them. There's a lot of fun things going on with them. And also you can use them on your lips, which I find quite fun. Sort of having that match always really adds another dimension to your look. I find that with a lot of things, if you can get things to match, like if you can find a shadow that matches your blusher, it can just add another level. And then you can use a different lipstick. It's like, as long as you've got two matching, you can sort of make it work and mix about with products. I think that's why I enjoy makeup as much as I do. It's like doing a painting, but you're able to experiment on your face and you're able to show everyone else. Whereas if you just do a painting at home, it's hanging on your wall or it's stuffed in a drawer. When you've done something really creative with your face and your eye makeup and you've gone out wearing it, which I do. If I do any of my looks, I wear them out. I don't just do them and take them off. I find it really fun on the days that I'm just wearing something. I'm like testing out a palette, so I'm wearing some bolder colours and people are like, wow, I love that colour. And I'm like, oh, it's this palette. And this is why I'm pushing for these indie brands, especially the UK ones, because I want to be able to say, oh, it's from this brand and they're UK when people ask me, because most of the time they turn around and say, oh, so they're from UK. I didn't know we had brands like that here. So it's really nice to sort of spread that knowledge of, oh, actually, you don't just need to buy Dior and so on. I mean, even Charlotte Tilbury's fabulous, and I know originally UK, and I still use Charlotte Tilbury because I do love her stuff. Some of it's great for me, some of it's not so much, but I'll probably do a video on that another time. But like, they're just obvious go-tos. I want people to try these other companies out. Like, I've just got a new palette, which I will tell you about. I know I go on and on about Kosmetics and Beautymoon, so I won't go on about them today. But I've got Dream Haus, but it's not spelled how you'd spell house, so I'll put it below, and it's a Midnight Garden eyeshadow palette, and they're UK company, and oh my god, the gold in it is amazing. We've got like a warm gold and a cold gold, and then like one that's got a very light sort of, not even champagne, lighter than champagne, and it's got pink flecks in it, and then it's got some beautiful greens and blues, and it's just so pretty. I've not properly used it yet. I want to swatch, and then when I've done my swatches, because I'll get a bit of an idea for the pigment, I will then sort of do an eye look with it. And then I've got London Copyright, and I can't say I found these by myself. A couple of my Instagram people that I follow and really enjoy watching, they use these too, so I've then gone and purchased them. One of them, the Midnight Garden, I saw via Not Your Basic Steph, and the London Copyright, I can't remember what his tag is. I will mention him below because the looks he does is just amazing. Very inspiring, very fun, very colourful. So I've got the London Copyright palette, which it's just pretty. It's just the perfect fun palette, and it's called Playhouse, and that's exactly what I think when I look at it. Anyway, so I am about to dabble in my mascara, which at the moment I'm using Beautymoon's waterproof mascara. And you all know I have already done a video saying how much I love this mascara, and I was really impressed by my first proper use of it. It doesn't smudge. I have a huge amount of problems with mascara smudging. I love Charlotte Tilbury, and I used to use Benefit a long time ago, and Charlotte Tilbury and Benefit smudged on me like no tomorrow. It didn't matter what mascara I used of theirs. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about my lids or whatever, but something makes them smudge. Beautymoon, it does not smudge. It is waterproof. I have worn it and I have cried and it has stayed in place. I've worn it and it's rained and it's stayed in place. You know, it doesn't budge, and I'm thoroughly impressed. And it's very buildable, and it builds easily. It doesn't start tugging and clumping. It's easy and fun and reliable. I love that I can build it and it doesn't clump. The other mascara I use a lot of is the Beauty Crop Avocado, and I really like that. If your lashes are feeling dry and sad and limp and they're not really growing, I would recommend trying that. Even if you just use it for like a week, it just does something to my lashes. It just makes my lashes happy. It gives them something, and it gives them a bit of an energy boost, and they sort of grow a bit, which I've never had that with a mascara before. It makes my lashes happy. And again, it doesn't smudge. It is buildable, but I don't find it as easy to build with as I do the Beautymoon one. The Beautymoon consistency is, I don't know, it's just smooth and it doesn't seem to clump. Whereas the avocado one, it's a little bit thicker, it still goes on smoothly, and it's really good, and it does build well, but it does get clumpy at a point. So you're going to see me faff and faff and faff and build and build and build with the Beautymoon mascara. It takes me longer because I'm purposely trying not to get any mascara on my lid or on my under eyes. And I am trying to section out my lashes because I do tend to have longer lashes in places and bits where they're not so long. So I do try to fan them out and do like the middle bit straight up and the outer bit to the angle, and the middle bit, again, I try and do straight up. And then I try to sort of give a fan look and pull my lashes here, there and everywhere and build upon it. So you're going to see me faff a lot. But I guess at least you can see it's not clumping. It's just gliding on easy every time I use it. So it's a good thing to show you. It's just me faffing a lot with mascara because that's how I do it. If I'm in a rush, I probably don't faff as much. But because I was going out to a party, I did want them to look a bit fuller and have some more sort of built up, thicker lashes. So that's why I faffed so much. And I'm still faffing. Anyway, I will waffle some more. So I'm enjoying those two mascaras a lot. I just pick and choose depending on my mood, but they are both my go-to, really. It just depends what I'm looking for. If my lashes are drier, if I've had hay fever, sort of depends. I find them both quite lightweight. I don't notice them on my lashes very much. So, yeah, I am shortly going to dip into what I keep going on and on and on about, my, I think it is ANA. Yeah, ANA Cosmetics. And I dip into a few different shades. I won't mention them till I get to it because I don't want to say it now and you not see what ones I'm actually using and then sort of forget what shade they were. It's nice for you to sort of match a colour to a name. I was meant to have this video up a while ago, but the editing was a bit tricky, so it took me a while to sort it, and then I couldn't edit the voice onto the video, so there's been a slight delay. But I'm doing it now before I go downstairs and start cooking dinner, because I desperately want to get it up. It was a fun look, and it's something I did want to get up before I put any other items up on YouTube. I have done a little bit of a sneak peek on my Instagram because Instagram is the platform I use the most. That's sort of my go-to. From there I try and share from Instagram onto the YouTube, onto TikTok, a little bit on Facebook. I do link them up, Instagram and Facebook, but it's just not my go-to. I've always quite enjoyed Instagram. I feel like it's a lot more open to everyone. Anyone can look and see, and it's more about my interests, whereas Facebook's not something I majorly use, and if I do, it's more to stay in contact with people who live further away that I don't see very regularly and keep updated with them. So yeah, anywho, let's get back to it. So like I said, this is an ANA Cosmetics item that is coming up literally in the next few seconds. I'm just waiting for the clock to tick down so I can tell you about it. So it is a little pigment pot. It's a UK brand. It's run by a fabulous man who I love, really. I love all his products, and I very much love his melts. And I have more of his melts coming, wax melts, and more of the pigments coming. So the pigment I have picked up is called Goddess, and it is a really rich bronzy gold. It's got gold flakes in it, but it's got a bronzy tone to it, and as you see me use it and dip into it, I'm using quite a defined brush because I want to get the impact in the areas I'm placing it, and it's beautiful. And like I said, it's one I can rely on to just give my look a bit more wow, a little bit more pow, and a little bit it just lifts it. It just lifts any of my looks, and all the pigments I've got, it doesn't matter. I just seem to have the right shade to add to any look. I've got all the right golds and all the right pinks and greens and blues and so on. It's a great pigment, and there's such a variety of colours, and I love them. I really, really love them. I just feel so impressed by them every time I use them. You can really see it now when I'm taking it into the eye a bit more, the difference and the shade and how it stands out. And I think that's partly why I wanted to post this video so badly, because I think it really shows the power of these pigments so well. They're just easy and pretty and fabulous, and they make me feel happy. I like it when they sort of sparkle everywhere. Makes me feel like a little fairy. You know what I mean? Like when you've just put the lid back on, you've just taken it off, and there's like a little puff of those sparkles floating everywhere. I love that. I'm a bit random. I sort of like the gothic sort of punk look, but then I really like the pretty pinks and fairies. I'm a bit of a mashup. I'm like an angry unicorn. That's pretty much my my spirit animal, I think. Angry unicorn who eats sweets. That's where I'm at. So yeah, you're seeing me just finish up that little look. And then I'm having a little think, and I think, you know what? There's another pigment I want to use. That's what's happening in that whole moment. My little brain, my cogs turning. And then I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm going to use. I have figured it out. You wait there. Excuse my pyjama shorts. It was just easier to do that. If I have my nice clothes on, I always get pigment on my trousers, so it just made sense to have my jammies on. Well, not the top. Anyway, so I grabbed Unicorn Frost, again by ANA Cosmetics, because it looked ever so pretty, and it had a pink to it. And I just thought, you know what? I think that could just elevate my look that little bit more because I wanted more sparkle. I couldn't contain myself. And I was quite excited when I remembered I had a sparkly pink. And I was like, yes, must use sparkle. I hadn't opened this pigment yet and I hadn't used it before. I just knew I wanted to, mainly because it said unicorn, and who doesn't want to use a shadow called unicorn? You can see my face a minute ago as I'm dipping into it, the excitement. So I just took this shade around the outside of the deeper pink in the eye look because I wanted it to be slightly separate. I wanted it to stand out, but I wanted it to complement the pink I'd already done. So you'll see me doing that now and sort of shaping it quite nicely. But I really enjoyed the colour. It just was such a pretty colour and it just worked so well with this eye look. I think that's what made me happy. The second I used that on my lid, it made me content with my look. I was like, yes, okay, I'm happy with this eye look now. I have fixed what was missing. And yeah, I'm just touching it up, adding some bits. And then there's me trying to put the lid back on because I'm incredibly clumsy and I will knock it over. And then, like I said, the little sparkles everywhere I quite enjoy. Just catching any of them that I can on my remaining skin. And just making doubly sure that everyone sees what pigment I used because of the pure excitement. So yeah, that's the eye look pretty much done. I'll probably neaten it up a little bit, which you'll see me do. I do tend to use my fingers just to go under my eye and around the nose. I find it's just easier to glide, so I know where that dent is in my nose, so I know how deep to go to try and swoop it away. I do use brushes as well, but sometimes it's just easier to gauge where it is on my face if I use my hands, weirdly. So that's the finished look. I just did the eyes, I kept it simple. Let me know what you think. Thanks.